Hey, welcome back, Reddit. So happy to join you again for another Sunday troll session. You know what we like to do is some people love it, some people hate it, but it is what we do. We can't change who we are. So we're just going to jump right back into the OC, the fountain, the Pierian Springs. Drink deeply, or drink taste not the Pierian Springs. There shallow draughts intoxicate the brain, and drinking largely sobers us again. Hey, comment. Let me know who said it. Who said it? Okay. All right, let's dig in. We have an entry from Nigel T. Mooseballs. Nigel is my man, my boy. He was in the last episode. And Nigel did some revision. I haven't got back to Nigel, so I owe you, my buddy. I'm gonna hit you up with that, and I know you're working hard. Hey, revision ain't easy, guys. You know, and those brave enough to go back and try another draft, and then try another draft after that. That's how greatness is made, ladies and gentlemen. So my hat's off to Nigel for giving revision a whirl, and I will get back to him on his. Amazing tenacity to keep at it. So let's look at his latest offering here. The sun comes back. Like the second match you use to light a roll up in the rain until the flame meets your fingers and you hear it hiss, a protest on wet concrete already forgotten as it floats down a torrent in the gutter with the first one. It comes back. As a woman on the train meets your eye and smiles through the shadows cast by trees outside the window, and years pass by in the minute that it takes to reach your destination, as the locomotive beats its rhythm on the rails, you don't give her a napkin with your number written on it. In the real world, these things are not romantic. So we'll get a little parenthetical action there. So you step onto the station, greeted by a pigeon with one leg and some kind of skin condition, and you say it, chin up, son. That's when the sun comes back. So, yeah, I mean, we're seeing like more just classic Nigel Mooseballs work. T Mooseballs in action here. His mix of kind of courting or romantic imagery with kind of irreverent asides or kind of cinematic ideas. I feel like kind of this close camera work, sort of like maybe indie movie type stuff going on. We see some train ideas. You know, a lot of poetry takes trains. You see these come up in poems again and again and again since trains first started rolling. Trains have come into poems a lot as a metaphor for thinking or inevitability or fate or congruence. So what's working well here? So it opens with this proposal. Anytime you have this opening with a simile like this, like the second match, it's kind of what's called the old school term for that is a conceit. So it cues the reader to expect that the poem is going to be comparing the beloved to this thing, and perhaps flirting with this contrast, like how is the beloved like a match? How are they unlike it? Does it really work? And then perhaps pivoting. That would be kind of what I discuss in my sonnet series. I discuss this conceit idea in sonnets, but it can happen in poems that aren't sonnets as well. So it's a classic approach, a classic gambit to open a poem with this type of conceit, like the second match you used to light a roll up in the rain. But what happens? So it hisses in protest on wet concrete. So again, guys, I always hone in on this kind of Reddit kind of throwaway or abortiveness of like kind of crumpling up the paper and tossing it. This poem has that initial gesture in it where the initial image is then discarded and floats away. And it's not, in this case, entirely dissatisfying. And it is realized and handled thoroughly. So I'm not going to say that it just can't work in this poem. But we do get that a kind of initial disappointment as a reader that they built up this conceit and this comparison. And then they're going to mostly discard it again. And we see that then as the conceit of this match then becomes the woman, of course. Baby light my fire here, catching your eye, smiles through the shadows. I think this line outside the window might be slightly redundant. Perhaps some of these other lines Mooseballs could consider to reach your destination. I mean, we know the train is locked in, right? It's going to get there sooner or later. Then again, we get this another abortive gesture. You don't give her the napkin with your number written on. And then to really, really reiterate that abortiveness, this kind of retreat away from the poem's conceit and refusal to fully commit to the poem, we get this parenthetical, in the real world, these things are not romantic. And I'm not saying a poem always needs... the speaker of the poem always needs to be fully vested in delivering the poem and be kind of unself-conscious about living in the moment of the poem. That doesn't always need to happen. We can have these moments of reflexiveness of self-reflectivity or going meta or turning away or even kind of trying to withdraw or escape this inevitability of a poem and this kind of painfulness of being forced to deliver and follow through and speak, to be a witness to something. But it is tricky. So I think this parenthetical phrase, to my register, is undercuts the poem too much. It weakens the poem too much. It's kind of kneecapping it a little bit. And again, that can sometimes be an interesting effect of distancing, the speaker distancing from the poem and from artifice, and can help the reader feel like, well, this isn't made up. This isn't artificial. This is authentic, because they're refusing poetic elements and poetic technique. But that can certainly be taken too far. I think this pigeon image is fascinating, is interesting. This kind of ugliness, banality. The poem kind of keeps the pigeon straight ahead a little bit with some kind of skin condition. I would want to see that pigeon perhaps honored as a kind of an emblem, as a special moment of this moment of insight, where all this culminates and comes together for this poem. That's what we expect a poem to kind of culminate and come together, especially in these last lines, which, hand it to Mooseballs, it does. And you say it, chin up, son. That's when the sun comes back. So delivers on the title. I'm not always a big fan of the kind of reiteration of the title in this say, but and you say it, chin up, son. I love that. I love that line. So again, more strong work from Mooseballs here. Solid stuff, Nigel. I love that he's producing too. He's writing a lot, revising a lot. So anytime you're kind of working at a good clip, and you're conscious of your craft, you're involved in all aspects of it. You're writing new poetry, you're revising your existing poems, you're considering how to get stuff out there, how to make adjustments in light of And sometimes you might take my ideas, you might reject my ideas. My ideas might not be right for you guys. So don't assume I always have the answers. I'm one data point, right? But great work, Nigel. Let's jump into Subterranea from you hams. I don't know if we've done any hams before, guys. Looking to submit this to a journal. So Hams is one of my people then. You're out there trying to do the conventional, traditional literary route, which, has its pros and cons, guys. I mean, okay, so I've published some poems in literary journals, and that's been fun, but, is that automatically giving me a readership? Right? Yeah, I mean, there's some people who know who I am and know what I'm about, but, a lot of these journals don't have big readerships anyway, so it's more of a matter of slow building community and, building reputation, kind of the old-fashioned slow way. Not for everybody, but it is for Hams. Let's see what Hams is cooking up in the slow cooker. The flare of ship. Let's see the length. Oh, the length is good. Okay, good, Hams. If it's too long, most journals aren't going to take it. So if you write a long poem, a lot of lit journals aren't going to take long poems from relatively kind of emerging class poets. Not always. I mean, sometimes a long poem can break through, but in general, it's a lot harder. As long as once you get over 50 lines, it's a real bitch to publish a poem. The flare of shipwrecked oil drums shocks subterranean murk into stuttering tableau. Fingers comb tresses of silk, headscarves parachute into seagrass fields. Braiding lightning bolts along these neuronal daisy chains. A jellyfish net of dendrites preserved in heartbreak and dopamine. Sunlight won't touch the ocean floor, so I'll have to bury you in the dark with these aching tentacles, a rusty shovel, and my fraying bioluminescence. So it looks like we have this kind of structure of ragged lines, varying line lengths, fair number of polysyllables from Hams here. We have strophes of 5, 4, 5, I guess. So there's no strong sense of poetic structure here to me. I find the lines to be convincing with their ending. Most of them seem to be kind of reach a natural kind of syntactic pause or phrase, end of phrase at the end of the line. I felt it easy to read and breathe through despite these big words. I'm not 100% sure exact. I mean, I know the poem is about the ocean, and it doesn't bother me. I can't exactly completely piece all together what's going on. I feel like it's keenly observed. That's something, hey, I always talk to you guys about. Make sure your poem is well observed. If, at least show the reader you have those chops that you know how to observe. The flare of shipwrecked oil drums is certainly specific. Trying to imagine the flare of them. I guess that might be on the coast catching the sun. And that shocks the subterranean murk. Is it because oil is leaking out of them that is shocked? Or is this shock essentially a kind of psychological shock of the person observing and seeing this? And I think it's more the latter because we get this stuttering tableau. So tableau then is the whole scene or kind of the layout of the whole landscape that appears stuttering to this speaker. Stuttering Tableau gets out ahead of it a little bit for me, because all I have is these oil drums and Subterranean Murk, which is a little bit vague. It's satisfying. I mean, Subterranean Murk is interesting and kind of chewy and meaty and interesting. Especially you get these S sounds: shipwrecked, shock, subterranean. It's stuttering. We got back to that S. Fingers comb, tresses of silk. I'm not sure what the tresses of silk are. Headscarves parachute into seagrass fields. Clearly, they're describing the type of flora existing in this coastal area. I'm not sure about the braiding lightning bolts along these neuronal daisy chains. They've kind of leaped out a little bit ahead of my eye. Again, I'm not completely dissatisfied by that. It's not like I hate it. I'm intrigued. I find the writing to be confident and interesting. If there's one area where I feel like I might be into kind of a science fiction realm a little bit, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on anymore. Preserved in heartbreak and dopamine. So that is describing clinically, at least with the dopamine, maybe not the heartbreak, a perspective of the speaker and things that I'm not privy to here. I mean, is it heartbreaking because of environmental wastage, or how shitty humans are to the coast? Or is this a shipwreck that was cost human lives? The people died. So the backstory is submerged. And again, that's not necessarily a deal breaker, because this poem is about submerged ideas, submerged sensations. So it's not like I'm completely like not having it. It's kind of Marianne Moore like a little bit that way. Although I think she would be perhaps even more cautious about word selection, more cautious about lineation. So then we have this denial. Sunlight won't touch the ocean floor, so I'll have to bury you in the dark. Who's the you? So the you comes really late to this poem. I think one tip for when going back to revise this poem would be, you want that you to come in quickly and situate the reader with respect to what's the situation, who's talking to whom, who's missing whom, who's mourning whom, whatever it is. I mean, you don't have to do that in like the first or second line, although it's never a bad thing to do it then. You could delay that a little bit, but delaying the you this long, I feel like the reader at this point has assumed this entire poem is an abstraction. So the you here feels completely impersonal, more like a gesture of a you. I'll have to bury this thing or this idea, or I'm not exactly sure. It's so late to the party. I would even say you could just take the you out. These aching tentacles. So now the speaker has tentacles, a rusty shovel. But there's a lot good here. So in terms of craft, there's a lot of good things going on. I'm trying to imagine this literary editor, let's say at a reputable journal, and they get, let's say, a few thousand submissions in this reading period, and they're looking at this poem and they're thinking, I want to go forward with it, but I can't completely understand what it's trying to convey, suggest, and when I'm done reading it, I feel like the impression of it fades more quickly than it deserves to, despite all these interesting ideas. So I think if you could give that editor a more focused impact more directed vector for their kind of aftertaste, the poem is going to linger longer and kind of force them in a way to publish it. I'm not really sure that the editor is going to feel this strong sense of, man, I think I might be missing out if I don't publish this poem. I think if I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night later and wonder, maybe that was the poem I should have published. And you're gonna need that, right? You're gonna need that level of you got to really kind of put that editor in a vice, put them in a tough place where they really feel like, oh my gosh, if I don't publish that poem, man, it's going to be hurting me. All right, Hams, strong work. Hey guys, Reddit, OC, you guys are kicking some butt tonight. We got 2 strong offerings. We have 2 by Hams, and I think that's cool, Hams. That you're doubling up here, but I don't think it's cool for me to double up on your work. So we're gonna continue on. But shout out to Hams, all the same. Oh, this is a second Hams, so we're not gonna do that. Sorry. Looks great though, Hams. Dating in America. I'm not sure how to read that. Marianne de Ferrier. Maybe that's like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Marianne de Ferrier. So it's totally not fair, guys. So I'm just going to tell you all these impressions. I know sometimes you poets rightly take it the wrong way, but things like, when your title of your poem is oddly capitalized, you have dating with a capital D, I with a capital I, which I think typically you if you're going to have some lowercase, then the in wouldn't be. But you could go either way with that. But then the America is lowercase, the in America. So that to me triggers this idea. Okay, if you're lowercasing America on purpose, then you might be of that camp of like, America has a lot of problems, which is fine with me, but that just cueing me that right off the bat, which you might not have intended to. And then you have the period, the full stop in the title. Punctuation or full stop, especially a full stop on the title, it sounds like this is going to be like the final word on dating in America. While it'd perhaps be a lot lighter to not do that. And I'm super nitpicking, but I'm saying like association wise, like usually I don't say anything. I just go right into it. But I feel like what you put on the label, how you label something, has a big impact on how people receive it, especially with a short poem. This is not a very long poem. There are notes in your assurances. Letters you're writing to a future lover. I acquire knowledge and peace. War is all around us. Your attitude sucks. Is that how it works? Do I wish the pain away? So this poem is not offering us. It's declaring things, it's stating things, but it doesn't convey emotion except disturbance, agitation. Even that isn't consistent. I acquire knowledge and peace. The acquire part, I don't know how far we're going to get with this one, guys. And I don't want to be rude or dismissive and be like, hey, this really isn't working for me. But sometimes I think that's the most honest approach for me to say, like, some stuff isn't going to work super, super well for me. Which, again, Reddit, there's a lot of times I'll comment on a poem, and some people are just loving it here. And I'm not going to argue with those people like, you're clearly wrong. Because I feel like poetry does intrinsically have a lot of different tastes. I think when you guys are trying to figure out where I want to go and how do I want to build my audience, that's where, I would start to plug in, okay, if your audience is, if you're trying to develop and move in kind of a literary direction, then maybe I might have some ideas. But if you're not, if that's not your goal and that's not what you're about, that's cool too. So you do your thing, Marianne. Let's try Siamese Dreaming. I know we've covered Siamese Dreaming before. There's a lot of Siamese Dreaming on this sub. I know that. I know we've covered before. I just want to make sure it's not too long. I think Siamese Dreaming typically has some pretty solid stuff for us here too. So it's pushing on the length, but looks like some pretty tight short lines here. Looks like we're doing these sets of 4 or 5 lines again. We're loving the 4 or 5 line structure here for some reason tonight, guys. It's like a lot of 4s, some 5s. Why do I care about that? Because quatrain, so when I see quatrains, it triggers, or it pulls back into this long tradition of things like, the ballad. For example, this is a quatrain structure. We see quatrains just a lot in the long tradition of English poetry. If you vary them up and you do these 5ers in there, I don't have any problem with that. That's done. That's a thing that can work. This isn't any 5s. This is all 4s. So sorry. Please disregard. It's all quatrains, so which is nice. I meet my antique lover under yellowed city stars. He takes me on a journey in and out of blackened bars. He's puffing golden Marlboros and sipping whiskey neat. I'm downing lemon daiquiris and sliding off my seat. Okay. You guys are shittered. All right. That's Reddit. He's slurring something cynical about the curse of love. He says it makes romantics feel like there's a God above. Is that cynical? He sees the fuzzy fantasies that float behind my eyes. Well, he says I ought to ditch them all. They're just vapid lies. They need to be... Okay. I kiss my antique lover and he takes me home to bed. He doesn't think I'm pretty, but he says I'm good at head. I try to give him passion, something more than fleeting lust, though that's a dying mission when his soul is full of dust. So Siamese Dreaming has offered us something that, isn't 100% my bag, because I find that the kind of chimingness, the short lines, and the kind of neatness of these rhymes, by and large, is something where I would find this to be punchy to a degree that is perhaps too humorous. But it's has its moments. So let's look. So I'm not sure why he's an antique lover. I'm sure it's not because he loves antiques. I guess he's an older guy, but why describe him as an antique? I don't know. Maybe in some ways he's supposed to represent this kind of timeless idea, or the kind of veteran, loves veteran type. I love blackened bars. I think that's just shows Siamese Dreaming. You get this alliterative effect of the blackened B and blackened and bar working together, and it's a nice nice effect. It sets the tone and the mood for the poem. Yellowed City Stars a little bit too Golden Marlboros, I could probably live without the fact that they're golden, but I mean, he's going to need, or excuse me, the poem is going to need these, some syllables here and there for its rhyme scheme to work out. Although it's not always neat and seat. Daiquiris and Marlboros don't. I mean, some of them skip. I mean, we see that done. I mean, Auden will do stuff like that. Not every, you don't need to write them every time in order for it to line up. I think the Curse of Love to me is a little bit overhanded, a little bit too much for a poem this sly. This kind of, we could use a little bit more innuendo, perhaps. Curse of Love is a little bit, and then Romantics. Again, I mean, we're readers of poetry. We're already interested in love. We're already interested in romantics and what romantics feel. I don't know. Be careful with the kind of the blunt instruments, I would say, right? So when you're going to pull out the kind of blackjack and hit them, make sure they don't know it's coming. Once you've bludgeoned them once or twice, like after that, they're just going to be dead beef. Hit them with a few of those, like "There's a God Above" type lines, once or twice in a poem at most. Fuzzy fantasies, again, we get this another alliterative effect, and it doesn't work as quite as evocatively as Blackened Bars. Float Behind My Eyes, again, is a little redundant. Okay. Vapid Lies is another one of these just total bludgeoning jobs. Takes Me Home to Bed. So could you give us some more detail? I mean, Takes Me Home to Bed is a very seems like a missed opportunity for more imagery, more simile. The bed lands very flat, and reductive. Does he take you home? I mean, does he take you home to a nightcap? I mean, I don't know. It seems forced. You need bed to rhyme with head for the crudeness factor of this poem. And, it seems like Reddit fan service a little bit. But, Siamese Dreaming writes a lot, I think. And some of Siamese Dreaming is pretty fucking good. And you could see why this poem has some strong moments. I would say In and Out of Blackened Bars is absolutely fucking winning. All right. Well, we've been lighting up a good amount of time. We're gonna see if we can find another. If we can find another, we'll do another. So I've already started scanning this down, so we might as well do it by Schneider, I guess. Subject to change. The stars are aligned and my fate is now sealed. It's my time to shine, but the struggle is real. The end of the line with the roll of the wheel, the chance is now mine, yet somehow I don't feel the stars in decline. The stars will not heal. The sound of my whine cannot loudly conceal a brilliant design, but just lacking the zeal. So, I'm not this like huge spoken word guru, so sometimes, or hip hop lyricist. So sometimes I feel like, again, this is another instance of a poem might not be for me, but I'm going to try to use the tools that I know and the tools that I have in order to try to see if I can improve this poem or have some suggestions for improvement on the poem's own terms as best as possible. So it's opening with stars are aligned, which is kind of this like astrology type thing, like things are going to go better, things are going well. So I would then say that next line is fate is now sealed is perhaps redundant. The stars are malaligned, or star crossed would then, you wouldn't need to say my fate is now sealed. It's my time to shine. Okay, so again, we're kind of walking back and forth over the same patch of carpet for 3 lines in a row, and that can start to wear the reader down a bit. The struggle is real is absolutely a throwaway in this case, because it's just shop worn language. It's just accepting language as is without any modification and just injecting it into the poem. But it's not used in a slant way. At least I can't find any slant to it. And then we have more of that type of throwing out kind of these tropes, these kind of prefabricated metaphor, with end of the line, the roll of the wheel, the chance is now mine. So again, that this poem, its only momentum that it's giving you is in the rhyme scheme and the rhythm, which is interesting. It's not completely without momentum, but that's asking the reader then a lot. It doesn't tell us about any specific circumstance. What is your time to shine? Why is it your time to shine? Why is the struggle real? When we go back to the star image again, the stars in decline. Somehow I don't feel. Why? Why is it somehow? Why is it qualified in this way? Scars will not heal. Again, it seems if we had introduced the stars at the beginning, the woe from the beginning, this opportunity that the speaker has, and then there are wounds that prevent them from pursuing it. The sonic elements of these long E sounds are interesting. The poem sticks with them throughout the poem. Zeal, conceal, heal, feel, wheel, real, seal, aligned. I guess align is a little different. Shine, line. So it sticks to this repeated. And that's not super easy to do. But if it were in service of something where the reader felt some of the stakes of this on a more intimate, connected level. But keep throwing those rhymes, Schneider. Try to connect with us though. Try to bridge that. Meet me halfway. All right, that's about all we have time for tonight. We did the Mooseballs poem. We did Subterranea. I think Subterranea is probably going to be my favorite. So we're going to see if we can give that the prize. And just give me a moment. We'll take care of that. How about we do all drink to that? Sounds good. And that will wind us up for the night. Thank you, Reddit mods, for inviting me onto your sub and letting me do a every other week type of deal. Super stoked to come back next time if you'll have me. And thank you for all you Redditors putting your OC content out there. As always, feel free to DM me. You can see my username is Mexman. And I would love to engage and love to hear your comments. Cool. Have a great week, guys. Take care.